All right. What is up, everybody? Matt Modi here to do another last-minute NFL betting preview, betting stream, whatever you want to call it. Of course, I'm joined, as always, every Sunday by my good friend, internet friend, Andrew Kim, a.k.a. the ParlayDoc. Andrew, how we doing?
What is up, Matt? Just watching a brutal Germany game. What a dud this has been.
What the heck is this? Can the Dolphins show up? I mean, come on. What the heck is this?
Oh, God. Good thing we did not have to review this game on our slate today, so.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I would have, I probably would have been on the Chiefs, and that would have looked good. But then I also, and I'm pulling it up on my phone just to see if anything happens. Granted, it's about to go into halftime. So, anyways, yeah, for those of you that are tuning in, we appreciate you. If you have any questions, any comments, anything you want to say, put that in the chat, and we will respond to it as we go along. If you are new to these live streams, basically what we do is we just go through every single game, and we give out at least one pick for every game, although passes are allowed. And for a slate like today, if there's ever a time to just pass on every single game or half the games, I should say, that would be today. Although I will say, feels like there's an awesome game, at least in every single slate. Like theoretically, this morning game was supposed to be good.
Yeah.
And then we got like Seahawks Ravens is pretty good.
I think
Cowboys Eagles is going to be awesome. Not even as an Eagles fan, just in general. And then Bills Bengals should be good as well. So at least we have
one good game per slate.
Yeah.
I agree.
Maybe this isn't a red zone Sunday. This is just dial into the good game type of Sunday. But anyways, we can get into it. The first game, one of the slot games of the week, Vikings versus Falcons. What do you got for this one?
Oh man. Yeah, it sucks, man. I know as much as as NFL and gambling fans rag on Kirk Cousins, it's not going to be the same without Kirk Cousins.
No.
So, it's just, as much as we like to dog on him in primetime and stuff, it's just, but you know what? He at least keeps the Vikings in games, and you just will at least get an air raid type of, game from him to just make it fun. So I'm going to miss, this is my tribute. Going to miss Kirk Cousins for the season. So it's not going to be the same without him, but oh my God, there's a couple teams that I'm just like, these teams are just
garbage, total garbage.
Raiders are a garbage organization. Falcons are up there too, man. So I don't even know what to make. So yes, obviously losing someone who's going to sling the rock like Kirk Cousins is a huge problem, but I don't know, man. The Falcons are just in such disarray. I'm not going to make any kind of heavy or official bets on this one, but if I'm going to lean, maybe I'll sprinkle a little bit on Vikings +4. I'm just going to I'm just going to eat it and hope that, God, maybe this, backup QB is going to, was it Jaron Hall or who?
Jaron Hall, yeah.
Jaron Hall from BYU, right? From
BYU, yeah.
I mean, look, they still haven't lost their pieces of what they've been doing in the last few games on offense. So maybe if he's just serviceable, I don't know. I don't have much to say, but Vikings +4 against a train wreck of a team. But I am going to play a prop. I am going to go, and I know I'm going to get burned here because of just the gross, I'm going to say a gross miss and underutilization of Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
But if there was a game to get some rushing yards, God, can they just learn from the Lions and Jahmyr Gibbs and be like,
look what happens when you give your stud running back a ton of touches. What crazy. Yeah. Who would have thought?
So scouring the lines to see over 55.5 rushing yards. Oh my God. That's such a doable line on PointsBet where I'm very limited, but because it's so low there, I am going to go Bijan Robinson as an official play. Over 55.5 rush yards on PointsBet -125. And again, I know they're going to run. I just don't know if they're going to utilize Bijan appropriately. If you buy into the sky is falling theory that who knows how Jaron Hall is going to play, but if you don't trust it, then you should say this is going to be a ball-dominant game where they should just run the ball nonstop because you're going to have Heineke, who's turnover-prone. Yes, he might be able to move it better than anyone's got to move it better than Ritter, but I still have to believe they're going to lean on the run. So I'm going to go Bijan Robinson. Over 55.5 measly rushing yards, but nothing would surprise me at this point, Matt, if they underutilize him.
That's a good price. I'm just looking at the odds. Every other book has him at 58 or 59.5.
Exactly.
So
that's why.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I agree with you on the Vikings. I actually just like them to win straight up. I'm taking the Vikings money line. I think they're going to be undervalued because everybody's going to say, oh, without Kirk Cousins, they're going to suck. And they They might very well suck.
They might.
But the Falcons also suck. It's just going to be a suck off. Who's going to suck the hardest in this game? Like,
this is getting dirty. This stream's getting dirty already.
What a jabroni that guy is. I mean, Jesus, it's like the NFL lost Adam Gase and Josh McDaniels. So they're like, all right, we need a new total D-bag head coach. And Arthur Smith, gladly. I mean, one second.
Yeah, and while you're coughing, I mean, God, I know this could be an ugly game, but that total is so goddamn low as well. And I do think Heineke can move it better than Ritter. I know that they'll run. I just don't know. My only concern is, I think the Vikings will come out with a balanced attack and they're going to lean on like Akers and stuff just because you have a rookie in there. I'm just worried that the Falcons might have like 8-minute drives, like just not 9-minute drives that end up in field goals. And that's what concerns me. But that is such a low total. It's so tempting. I mean, I might want to even dabble in the over, but Vikings +4 and your Vikings money line. Yeah. If I had to pick a side, I'd be on the side of the Vikings spread or money line as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And all I was saying before I got attacked by a coughing fit was, like the whole weirdness with a couple weeks ago where they didn't play Bijan at all and he wasn't on the injury report. And then people like the media was talking about Desmond Ritter struggling, which he was. And then he was like, oh, he's not struggling. That's just toxic groupthink. Like, you guys are idiots. You don't watch film. And then he gets injured. He clears the concussion protocol. And then they still don't put him back in. And then they bench him for Heineke. It's like, what are you doing? I think the players know. It's like the Adam Gase and Josh McDaniels thing. Like, are they going to play for this guy who's just a total D-bag and total idiot? Yeah. So I just think that I'm loving divided by the dip on the Vikings. I think Jaren Hall, he can sling it. I think they're like, and their defense has been really good for the past like month.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty decent price, like 166 now on FanDuel. Earlier, I got it at 190, which is a very good price. So I still like it even where it is now, but we can move on to a significantly better. Oh no, what do you got?
I'm just going to say last comment. It's, and I think, Matt and I, it's not even just from, we're just like betting on gut. Here's a stat for you guys. If you believe in like, not just raw turnover stats, but like turnover worthy plays, like Heineke actually, he's up there as one of the top like risk takers. And there were potential pick sixes, like potential picks. I mean, he's one of the highest where he's trying to force it into pockets. So I don't think just because you have someone who had a flash in the pan, short segment of a previous season that kind of got him all these accolades. I don't know. It's a huge upgrade. I think it's a bit of an upgrade, but I think it's going to be sloppy on both sides. That I can still, like you said, I think both of us can really make a legitimate case for the Vikings here. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, he likes to sling it, which can be a good thing, like for fantasy purposes, but Drake London's out. So it's not he's not slinging it to Terry McLaurin anymore. So yeah. It's going to be a gross one. I would agree with you if I had to choose the over. I don't have anything on it, but I would agree with you there. We can move on to a better game. The best game of the 1 p.m. slate by far. Seahawks versus Ravens. I actually like the Seahawks to cover the spread on this one. It's actually moved since I created this graphic. You can get them at base 6.5, basically anywhere now. -110 at Caesar, BetMGM, Caesars. And then if you like them, you can get -108 at Sporttrade if you are in Colorado or New Jersey. The Ravens, I don't understand. Like every advanced stat has them as like the best. Like DVOA has them as like historically good.
Yeah.
And they only have lost twice, and both losses were like super unlucky. In which if that game was played 10 times, they probably win. Both of the games they lost 9 times out of 10. The Colts lost, the Steelers lost. It was weird, and this is dumb because like you can't put a stat on this, but just the eye test. Their defense is great, but something looks off with their offense. It looks clunky. It looks awkward. They'll have like the blow up games against the Lions where you're like, oh, this is what their ceiling can look like when they're clicking. But more often than not, it just looks weird and it looks clunky. So I think that the Seahawks will at least be able to keep this one close. I actually really like Seattle. They got a good like young defense. They got good skill position players. We'll have to see about like Kenneth Walker and I think DK Metcalf. One of the receivers is banged up, but Geno Smith is playing great. I think that this is going to be a close game. So I just like taking the points with Seattle.
Yeah. I was too lazy. I'll be honest. If I caught the Ravens right at that -5.5, I would have taken them. Pretty strongly too. I would have felt confident. I felt confident last week, and I got burned by that
One of the
flukiest endings.
worst beats you could ever have. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's just horrible. But I think that kind of portrays what Matt's saying. If you look at the stats, I think on average, when they win, they're winning by like 14.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some bad opponents mixed into there, but so this should be a decent game. But yeah, if I had caught it at -5.5, I would have just taken that in a heartbeat. But I was too lazy this weekend. Now the line's moved. I'm not going to bet the spread at all. But if I had to take it, I would go Seahawks now that it's past the key number.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to wait, and I'm going to see if, depending on who scores first, if I can catch the Ravens live at -5.5 or better, I will live bet the Ravens if I can catch them at -5.5 or better within the first quarter, obviously.
Sure.
One prop I am going to bet is going to be Lamar Jackson. Right now, it's at over 19.5 completions. And I'm going to take over, just completion. So over 19.5 completion. Yes, it's a little juiced. Yep. It's minus like 131 at Caesars is probably where you're going to get the best one. Unless you have bet 365, I think you can get it a little bit better. If you don't want to eat the juice, then you could go 20.5 at FanDuel for like -108. But I'm going to eat the juice. And hope that he's going to take what they give them. He actually has been playing pretty well this season, even from the pocket. I think the Seattle defense is a little bit overrated in terms of some of their stats. So I think Lamar is going to take advantage. He has a full assortment of weapons at this point, even though OBJ has maybe not played where the Ravens have hoped. He's got plenty of options to dink and dunk to, or even throw bombs to. So I am going to go Lamar Jackson over 19.5 completions as one of my favorite props for this game. So
I like that. I was just looking up the Seahawks defense is really good against the run. They're 8th against the run.
Yeah.
They're 19th against the pass. And I was just looking up, and this is like very high level. It's not super analytical, but Lamar's done that in 5 of 7 games, 6 of 5. Yeah. 5 of 8 games so far this year, which is pretty good.
High clip. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
if they're, I mean, even if the Ravens are winning, I don't think they'll just be able to just totally ground and pound the game. So yeah, I like that one. I might ride with you. All right, next up, another total slop, disgusting game, Cardinals Browns. I'll just say it first. I don't have anything totally passing on this one. I could see the Cardinals covering 12.5. I could see the Cardinals winning straight up. Deshaun Watson's back. He's terrible. I'm not touching this game. Total pass for me. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I got a couple, surprisingly, amidst this garbage. I'm not going to touch the spread because, you got Clayton Tune coming in for the Cardinals. I have no idea how Clayton Tune's going to play, and the spread is so goddamn large.
Yeah.
And I just can't trust the Browns. And even, I'm going to even say their defense actually has not been very inspiring the last few games, despite their analytics. And you can still say from a DVOA standpoint, they're really good, but I don't know. For the eye test tells me they've been kind of gouged a little bit the last 2 games. So with that large of a number, I'm going to stay away. But I am going to play a couple props, kind of small here. So Kareem Hunt, I'm going to take over 6.5 receiving yards, which is one pass.
Receiving. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't go rushing. I do think rushing's not bad though, because I'm not convinced that Jerome Ford's fully healthy with that ankle thing. So I think you're still going to get a decent workload. So if you just want a little bit chalky or safer, getting 30-something, I can't remember where it was like upper 30s or something, 30-something rushing yards. I don't think that's horrible, actually. But I'm going to go just literally like one pass, one dump off to him, maybe to run 6.5 yards. So I'm essentially betting on, will he get a dump off pass and have a little room to run one pass, basically. So Kareem Hunt over 6.5 receiving yards, minus 115 on DraftKings. That's the little gem I found in this garbage game. I can't really advocate this now because it's not fair to you guys, but Kareem Hunt, anytime touchdown, somehow, I don't really understand if it was just an offline or maybe there was some news I wasn't aware of. It's been smashed now, but Caesars originally had it at plus 180 for him to score a touchdown. So I did take that, but it's nowhere near that. So I don't know that there's great value at like plus 130, plus 135, but if somehow you can scour the lines and you catch something similar, I did take, this was something I did take earlier in the week, Kareem Hunt plus 180 anytime touchdown on Caesars. I just slammed it for value because I'm assuming he's going to get touches because who else is going to score besides him and maybe Cooper, whatever. But so those are the only two things I have, 2 Kareem Hunt props. So over 6.5 yards receiving and touchdown.
So I was looking at, this must be something just wrong with the odds because I was looking at Kareem Hunt receiving yards. And if you take him to do 25 plus, you can get that at plus 500 at Caesars. And then I was looking at, and again, this might just be something wrong with the I'm just looking at Ajay, which pulls up the odds, but they have DraftKings has him at 75 plus receiving yards at plus 265. So something's up there.
There's something.
Yeah.
Something must be. Yeah. That sounds really odd.
The odds just might be being pulled in wrong, but regardless, the plus 500 for 25 plus receiving yards is kind of juicy.
Huh. On Caesars, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Get one.
Take a look at that while you're. Okay. Interesting.
But all right. Next up, another total slop fest: Rams versus Packers. Disgusting. It's juiced. I'm just taking the Packers money line straight up minus 174. It was positive EV. Every other book had like minus 190, minus 120, or sorry, minus 190, minus 200, something like that. I'm probably going to regret it because the Packers are terrible. They stink. Jordan Love stinks. This is not a bet on the Packers. This is a fade of the Rams. They're terrible. I mean, they got annihilated. I mean, granted, the Packers are not the Cowboys, sure, but they got annihilated last week, and then Stafford got hurt. And we saw exactly last year what this Rams team looks like without Matthew Stafford in it, and it's not pretty. So the Packers at home, if they lose this game, they might as well just bench Jordan Love and not even bother doing anything with him, because if you can't get the win here, that's disgusting. So I will bite the juice. I put one unit. I risked not to win. I just risked flat $100 on the Packers money line. So because I didn't want to risk to win a unit, because if they lose, I don't want to be down like almost 2 units. So that's kind of what I went with. But yeah, I took the Packers just to win straight up. I mean, again, if they lose to the freaking Rams without Stafford and how disgusting the Rams have been, then so be it. And then also just stick a fork in the Packers.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And to go back to your Kareem Hunt thing, you're actually right. I just looked it up on Caesars with my own eyeballs. On the alt receiving yards, it's 25 yards receiving plus 500. So I'm going to read off what he's gotten for receiving. He got 12 yards last week, 0 the week before, 24 against the Niners, 0 against Baltimore, 22 against Tennessee, 15 against Pittsburgh. So he hasn't hit it yet.
Yeah.
But he got 24 and 22 within the last 5 games. So never hit it though. So just, high risk there, but juicy.
Hasn't hit it, but is getting pretty close, and it's also plus 500 odds.
Yeah, and if there's a game where you're going to have a cushion, it's going to be against the Cardinals, where they feel safe enough to just dump off a few times. That's not bad. I think I may dabble. I'm glad that you caught that. So back to the Rams, Green Bay. Oh my God, Jesus, I'm going to keep this short. I'm actually just going to go Rams plus 4 because it's at plus 4 now. I'm going to lean.
Yeah.
I have no idea because I'm hearing it could be Ripien who's going to play. Am I even pronouncing that right?
It's Brett Rippin. Yeah.
Rippin. I don't even know who it is. I'm not going to pretend like I know much about this guy. So Rippin, I don't know. Is that an upgrade since apparently Stafford's been playing with like a broken thumb or something, or broken fingers? Maybe, but it's just fascinating to me that you have like Cooper Kupp, you have Puka who's kind of had this great season. You have nice pieces on defense. They're not a good defense right now, but they have nice pieces. And it's just, this is what your performance is like this year? I just don't get it. Yeah. And then you have Jordan Love, who's basically his early fledgling career is on the line, where Green Bay's not even committal. So is that non-committedness going to burn a fire under him and he's going to step up? Both teams have shown me nothing. I just feel like I've been so disappointed in the Packers. Literally, I have no other thing to say. I think you could make a devil's advocate case for both with metrics that they both are horrible, and you could probably find an angle that makes sense. But yeah, I just feel like the Rams just have better pieces on both sides of the ball, even though they haven't put it together. I'm just going to take the number, and I'm just going to go Rams plus 4. I've nothing else to tell you besides I have no good rationale. So.
I mean, that's fair. The Brett Rippin could also just be better than Jordan Love.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't have any other props. I have no faith in how they're rotating Dillon and Jones, and I thought in the beginning of the season I thought I had a good sense of like Jalen Reed and all these stuff, but then since Christian Watson has come back, he hasn't dominated and he's kind of screwed up the distribution. I can't even predict which receivers are going to get fed by the Green Bay Packers at this point.
It's like once, like you said, Christian Watson came back and then Jordan Love started struggling. It's a total crapshoot. You have no idea what to expect. And even their running backs, Aaron Jones has basically been hurt since week 1. He hasn't done anything. AJ Dillon has been terrible his entire career. So yeah, I mean, from a player prop perspective, I had nothing in this one.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just not going to force it for you. So
yeah, there will be games where we'll have picks, but I mean, how are we supposed to bet Vikings, Falcons, and Cardinals, Browns, and Rams, Packers? It's like there's so many totals below 40. It's bad.
Put it this way. I have more faith in the plus 500 for Kareem Hunt that you pointed out for 25 yards than I do in picking a side in this. I'm not even joking. I have more confidence in that right now.
I mean, plus 500 is pretty juicy. All right. Next up, another disgusting game, Bucks versus Texans. What do you got in this one?
I'm going to keep it simple. The Texans screwed me last week. I was very disappointed. I thought show out with CJ did not play a good game.
They look terrible. They look terrible.
God, total regression. I thought CJ versus Bryce was going to be a fun showdown and just the beginning of like a rivalry for years to come. But it was a horrible game overall, minus the fact that we got Tremble's touchdown. I mean,
that was nice.
That was the highlight. That was
nice.
But I am going to go Texans minus 2.5, even though they burned me. I'm going to do it. I just feel like I still trust their offensive production to be more consistent than the Bucks, whose offense I have no faith in whatsoever at this point. Yes, still a decent defense in my opinion, but I think the Texans will have a bounce back week at least on the offensive side of the ball. So I am going to just take this as an official play. I'm going to take Texans minus 2.5 on FanDuel. So.
Sure. Yeah, I don't have a play on the side on this one. I have a player prop. I'm taking Rachaad White under 49.5 rushing yards. I will start with the risky part here. The Texans are terrible against the run, so that is the risk here. But the Bucks are basically one of, if not the worst and least efficient rushing offense in the NFL. Their rushing has just been disgusting. It's been terrible. And the Texans are favored here, as you mentioned. And I agree with you. I think the Texans are going to win. I don't have any of my own money on it, and I'm not going to put that as one of my individual plays. But if I had to choose, I would agree with you. It's just hard to rely on them. But regardless, I do. So if I think the Texans are going to win, I think that the Bucks are going to be losing and that they're going to need to throw at least a little bit. They can't just rely on the run game, which is I think they would like to do with Baker, but they can't. And this is a stat that White has only gone over. He's only gone over 50 rushing yards twice this year.
Wow.
And those were the games that they were winning literally the entire game. They beat up on the Bears for winning that entire game.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Saints. Literally from basically the jump, they were winning. So I don't expect that to happen in this one. In every other game, he hasn't even gotten to 40 yards. He's been literally below 30. So it's minus 120 at Flip. So it's a little juiced and you need to use Flip, which is basically, it's available in every state, but regardless, that's what I have in this one. I got a player prop.
I am going to say, guys, don't sleep on Fliff. It's kind of a janky app. I'm not going to lie. It looks pretty amateurish, like some dude made it with a programmer from Fiverr.com from from some foreign country, but but their odds and their lines are kind of off, and sometimes in an advantageous way for you as the bettor. I have been paid out, so I've used it myself, and I've actually cashed out. So it actually works. It's just a little bit of a weird kind of janky app, but it works and you can get your withdrawals. I'm just telling you. So.
Yeah. And it's only mobile. So you can't use it on desktop. It's only mobile, but yeah, I agree with you. I mean, their odds are terrible for their perspective. For us, their odds are great.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, another slop fest, Commanders versus Patriots. Is it my turn to go first? I think so. I'm going Patriots minus 2.5. The Commanders are selling. Literally, they're tanking. They traded basically the two best pieces on defense. Ron Rivera is just a dead man walking. He's going to get fired. Sam Howell and the Commanders seem to only play well against the Eagles. And the Patriots, if you look at every other game, they lost both games, so it's not like they're winning, but every other game they look terrible. And Mac Jones and the Patriots in general, they had that brutal stretch where they got shut out by the Saints and I forget the other two, the Cowboys, in like back-to-back weeks where they just got smoked. But they've gotten it together since then. They have a win over the Bills. They played the Dolphins tough last week. Granted, the Dolphins now look terrible. But Mac Jones also doesn't look as bad as he did at the beginning of the year. So also, I don't really know if this is a thing anymore, but it's also the Belichick versus a young, basically essentially rookie quarterback as well, who I think their defense, like I don't think the Commanders are going to have a good game offensively. So I just took them Patriots -2.5, -114 at FanDuel is my play on this one.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite. I took Commanders +3 as an actual play. Not that I have high faith in it. So I went just a half unit on this one, like, to win $50 basically. Caught them at -118 on DraftKings. Yeah, and you're right. They're sellers. I mean, they gave away Sweat to my Bears. Chase Young's gone.
Yeah.
But I actually think that Mac Jones still sucks. I've looked at some of his metrics and they're just not great in terms of like explosive plays, expected yards per play. I think Kendrick Bourne is still out, right? Bourne and Devontae.
Oh, he's out for the year.
Yeah, he's out. So there's no Parker, there's no Bourne. I don't know who he's going to throw to. So both suck, okay? But I think the Commanders still have enough on the offensive side of the ball to outpace the Patriots, which just they haven't instilled much faith in me, even though they have been playing better. So it's as simple as that. I know that the defense lost a few key pieces, but I think the Commanders still have, again, potential. Keyword, the potential to still throw the ball around and have some nice pieces. So I am going to go Commanders +3. I don't have anything else in terms of props. I just think it's going to be an ugly game that I don't have faith in anyone else. So Commanders +3 is my play.
Yeah. I mean, same here. I don't have a prop. No thanks. Not anyone. All right. Last of the 1 p.m. slate, your Bears are against the Saints in New Orleans. What do you got in this one?
Okay. I actually got a few. I've learned my lesson now. I'm staying away from Bears spreads. I just can't get it right. I just cannot get them right. So I'm not touching the spread. If you went with a main market, I would go on the under 42. I would
agree
a little bit. Okay. Just because both offenses are not humming machines right now, guys. Okay. You have Tyson Bagent and you have a red zone debacle of the Saints with Derek Carr. But I'm going to stay away. The spreads are just too big. +10, I could make an argument for +10 is a huge number. -9 is a lot for the Saints. So I'm staying away from that. But I got a few props for you.
Okay.
I don't know. The theme for me today is, I guess, just these one pass props. Okay. So Tyler Scott, a receiver on the Bears, over 10.5 yards receiving on PointsBet, -125. I don't have a ton of faith in it, and I'm limited on PointsBet, but for me, that's enough. I just want to dabble. So I put to win $25, like a quarter unit, just to have some action on an ugly game. Over 10.5 yards, because everyone's going to be on DJ Moore. Tyler Scott has had 1 reception, 2 receptions, 2 receptions. That's how he's gone in the last 3 games. 11 yards, 19 yards, 12 yards. So he's covered this 3 out of 3 times, okay? So to give me -125 for something he's gotten 3 times in a row, give it to me. I got another one that I have more confidence in. Rashid Shaheed over 30.5 yards, -110 on PointsBet. I love that one. Over 30.5. Good Lord. Did you see how the corners are being picked on from the Bears outside of Jalen Johnson? So when you know that your only legitimate secondary guy is Jalen Johnson and everyone is basically just getting picked on, he's gonna be floating around Olave. Maybe he'll be on Thomas here and there. So Rashid Shaheed, with his speed, they're going to find ways to get this guy open looks. And there were so many missed tackles last week by the Bears. So many missed tackles. This is going to be a missed tackle scenario. I guarantee you there's going to be a bunch of missed tackles on Rashid Shaheed. So Rashid Shaheed over 30.5 yards. And to spice it up, Rashid Shaheed, most receiving yards in the game, +1,100 on FanDuel.
Wow. I like that.
It's not just a blind dart, guys. He got 150-something yards last game. If he could do that against a different team, he can do that against the Bears. So he might be that sleepy boomer bust. It's going to be boomer bust. He might get 15 yards, but he might get 100. And I like him. I like those odds. +1,100, most receiving yards of the game.
Yeah, I mean, they had Derek Carr mic'd up, and he basically called a play specifically to get Rashid Shaheed deep. That'll work against the Bears. I just worry the fact that he literally just did it last week. So teams are going to be keying on it a little more, which makes me a little nervous. But I like that. I mean, +1,100. I'll basically tail any +1,100 play. So my play for this one is I just took the Bears team total under 16.5. It's minus 120 odds at Caesars. I mean, in what world are the Bears going to score 17 points? The Saints defense is good, and they've shown the ability to shut down bad teams and bad quarterbacks. Tyson Bagent, whatever his name is, had a fine first start against the Raiders. He's been bad since then. I think that it's kind of coming down for him and for the Bears. Yeah. And this, like I said, the Saints defense can shut down a bad quarterback. So unless it's like a broken play or a turnover or something, I just have a hard time envisioning the Bears getting to 17 points.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can't argue with that. But like I said, try to generate some excitement in an ugly game for you guys. A plus 1,100 gem for you guys. So.
There you go. I mean, plus 1,100, like I said, there's not much that I would not take at plus 1,100. All right, next up, Colts versus Panthers. I got a player prop in this one as well. I took Adam Thielen over 6.5 receptions. It's plus 100 odds at BetMGM. He just gets every single target for the Panthers. He's 90 years old, but he literally gets every single target. I thought it was going to be Mingo. I thought it was going to be the rookie. It wasn't. And it's just absurd. Like week 1, he had 2 receptions. Since then, he's had 7, 11, 7, 11, 11, 8. Literally gone over every single game except for week 1. They can't run the ball, which means that they're always going to be passing. They're also always losing, which means they're always going to be passing. The Colts defense isn't great either against the run or the pass.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be one where they're going to be passing a lot. And he might only get like 50 yards. It's going to have to be like 8 for 50 because they're all checkdowns. They're all like 5-yard curl routes. But 7 receptions he's hit basically every game except for the first one. So that's my play here.
All right. For me, I got a couple on this game here. So a little bit boring, but Jonathan Taylor over 68.5 rushing yards on FanDuel at minus 110. You can get it a yard shorter, but there's a lot of juice on that at 67.5. So over 68.5, I'll just take that extra yard to make it minus 110.
Yeah.
Look, when he first came back, they eased him in. He got 18 yards, 19 yards, but the last 2 games, 75 and 95. So and 95 against New Orleans. So I'll take over 68.5. It's boring. It's a chalky play, but I don't think that's an absurdly like high line for him in a game like this. So I'm going to go JT on that. Again, I have reasons for my long shots. I know we went into this well. What's the odds it's going to happen again this time? Probably low, but Tremble touchdown again. It's not going to be as juicy as last week. It's plus 850 right now on FanDuel. Here's the rationale why. Very similarly, that's why I bet it last week. I said, even though versus the Texans didn't have a lot of tight end touchdowns they've given up, they were actually pretty low in terms of how they fared against defense versus yards and receptions against tight ends. And the Colts actually map out similarly. Like they give up quite a few yards and receptions to that position, even though they haven't necessarily given up a ton of touchdowns. So I think there's an angle there, and I think there's an angle, and they still haven't adjusted this line enough. So plus 850. I'll take one more stab at the well. So again, there's a rationale behind it. Isn't just me just repetitively betting something we hit on. So that's your long shot for that game. Tremble TD again, plus 850, and Jonathan Taylor over 68.5 rushing yards.
Could I interest you in Jonathan Taylor 100 plus rushing yards for plus 300 at DraftKings? Or is that not enough odds for 100 plus?
No, I like it. I like it here. I think this is a game where they're going to be vulnerable, and he could break off for one of those classic JT 25-yard trots, maybe, just to kind of boost it up. I don't hate it. So you said DraftKings right now?
DraftKings plus 300. They're giving you the best price. The only thing that makes me nervous about that is the Colts seem to, even with a healthy Taylor, split carries between him and Zach Moss.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's going to get enough work to get to 100. So you'd have to be super efficient, which can happen because, it was a couple years ago, but Jonathan Taylor's awesome. So just something to keep in mind.
No, I agree with you. That is the biggest concern because I think most people, I don't know if they unless you're a Colts fan, I guess, but Zach Moss has been sneaky efficient and productive for them.
Yeah, he's been very good. Yeah, he's been very good.
Yeah, so it's not like it's like some huge drop off. Like he's been consistent. So I could easily see them continuing to split the work. But I like it. I like it. I can dabble in that. So.
Yeah, there you go. All right, next up, Giants versus Raiders. What a game we have here. Giants Raiders.
Man.
What do you got in this one?
Ooh. Giants money line plus 108 on Rivers.
Okay,
So.
I am on the opposite side. I'm on the Raiders.
I can easily, I get it. You saw the images that are seared into your minds, especially if you're on gambling social media, of Devontae Adams going mental. They fire a coach. You're like, bounce back spot. I get it. But until it happens, I want to see it. The Giants are trash too, but look, the fact that Saquon, is still going to be there to run, I think that's just going to keep him in the game. So I'm just going to roll with Giants money line plus 108 on Bet Rivers. I am going to do Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown at plus 100. And I am going to dabble a little bit, 2 touchdowns at plus 600 on FanDuel. So I'm going Saquon heavy for a boring vanilla game where it's going to be a brutal grind, and somehow I'm hoping the Giants end up on top and Saquon has a decent day against them and finds the pay dirt a couple times. But sure. Saquon touchdown, Giants money line, tiny bit Saquon 2 TDs.
I think that's reasonable. I don't have, if I had to choose, I would choose the Raiders. I'm not going to bet it. My play, it's another player prop. Josh Jacobs over 3.5 receptions. The main line of that is plus 114 at FanDuel. I'm also laddering that. So I'm taking over 3.5, and then I'm taking 5+, 6+, and 7+. Obviously scaling down the unit size as the price goes up. But so the logic here, it's a young quarterback who's going to aggressively check the ball down to a running back. So Aiden O'Connell, he's only played 1 game this year, so I'm not going to pretend it's some massive sample size. Yeah. But in that game, Josh Jacobs had 8 receptions on 11 targets.
Wow.
And it's one of those things where, like, young quarterback goes back, he immediately panics, and he dumps it off to the running back. That's what he did in the first game. The Giants defense has sneakily been pretty good the past couple weeks. So I don't think that he's going to have a lot going downfield. I don't think he's going to look downfield at all. So I think it's going to be, again, just a check down Charlie to Josh Jacobs every single time. I thought about also doing that for Devontae, that he just, like, squeaky wheel treatment, gives every target to Devontae. And you could ladder Devontae for pretty juicy odds from plus 300. The Dolphins just scored for over 6.5 at plus 133, and then like over 7.5, 8.5, 9.5. There's just too many receptions that if they can't get anything going on offense, it scares me off a little bit. So that's why I decided to go with Josh Jacobs. It's just a lower number, and closer to the line of scrimmage is something that the quarterback will probably. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this then. I'm just curious, you tell me yes or no, yay or nay for the audience here. Since you're on the Jacobs theory, and again, this is probably predicated on who gets the coin flip, who gets the ball first. Race to 20 receiving yards. Race to 20 receiving yards.
Okay.
Josh Jacobs to be the first one to get 20 receiving yards on DraftKings, plus 1,300, my friend.
Plus 1,300? Oh my God. If DraftKings wasn't super lame and limited everything I did,
I worth a dart, worth a dabble, worth a dart.
So it's first in the game to get to 20
first
yards.
In the game. That's why it's so high risk. It's just whichever player gets the first one to hit 20 receiving yards. That's what it is. It's like a race to 20 yards.
I like it. I will dabble on that. I mean, come on. First to 20. Again, what if he just gets that's God. Rushing. I was like, okay, where is first to 20?
It's under rushing receiving props, yeah. And there's a thing all the way at the bottom called race to X, and it says race to 20 yards. Race to 20 receiving yards.
Yeah, let's see how much DraftKings will let me put on this. Nope, won't even let me put 10. All right, let's see if they let me put 750. Nope, not even 750. Let's go down to $5. Nope, won't even let me do $5 on this.
Here. I'm going to save you. I'm putting 10 for you. Okay. I put some money on it. You heard it here as evidence and you've witnessed this. I put $10 for Matt on this. Okay.
There you go.
Don't even worry about paying.
Venmo me $130
because I'm the one who talked you into it. So $10 on the house for Matt on this prop.
Oh, if that hits, that'd be beautiful.
So let's root for that together. That's on me. That's on
DraftKings. What a bunch of losers.
But hey, you point something out, and I just take it to that D-Gen level. So
that's the give and take that we have on the show. All right, probably the best game of the day: Cowboys versus Eagles. obviously as an Eagles fan, I'm pumped up. Just in terms of the how important this game is for both teams. It's hopefully should not be. I don't think it's going to be a clunker. Hopefully not. I have 2 pumped up props on this one. My first one is CeeDee Lamb, 110 plus receiving yards, plus 330 at DraftKings. This has blow up potential for CeeDee Lamb. He kills the Eagles in general. And this is the worst possible matchup for the Eagles defense because where they struggle is down the middle of the field, specifically the slot receiver and the tight end. Dak is an excellent quarterback throwing down the middle of the field. That's why that connection with CeeDee Lamb is so good. Dak is also phenomenal against pressure. So even if the Eagles defensive line generates a ton of pressure, which they probably will, Dak is more equipped to handle that than some other quarterbacks. He's also someone that I'm laddering up. So I took his main line for a unit, and then I laddered him all the way up to 125 plus.
Wow.
Last year, against the Eagles, he had 120 yards and 2 touchdowns in the one game Dak started. Last week, he had 158 receiving yards. 2 weeks ago, he had 117, so he's heating up. To me, this is like one of those things where there's so many stats in favor of it that it makes me nervous that it's just going to swing the opposite way. That's one pumped up prop I have. And then my second one is Devontae Smith, 90 plus receiving yards, plus 450 at DraftKings. You called it last week. You had it's going to be a Devontae Smith game. I'm calling it even more again today. I think he's going to have a massive game. Last week, quietly had 7 receptions on 7 targets. So he caught every reception for 99 yards and a touchdown. Now that AJ Brown broke the receiving yards record for most games consecutively with 125 plus, I think they're going to really try to get Devontae Smith involved. I also think that the Cowboys are going to just dedicate triple coverage basically to AJ Brown. Like, we cannot let this guy beat us. Yeah. And I think the Eagles are going to be more than happy to spread it around. The Cowboys defense is good and Deron Bland's good. So I'm not saying that it's as plus of a matchup that CeeDee Lamb has, but I do think that Devontae Smith's going to get to 90. So those are my 2 plays on this one. I also like the over. I liked it more at 46.5. It's kind of been bet up to not as good of a number. So I didn't make it an official play, but I do like the over as well. So that's all I got. What do you got in this one?
I have Cowboys +3, -110.
You bastard.
Yeah, but this is the trend though. I'm going to get burned because they're peaking at a good time and then they're going to flop today. But they bring their explosives. They've been doing more unique, I think, to their benefit, just involving more pre-snap motion to confuse the other side. They've been putting CD in the slot more, just like you already mentioned, so I won't belabor that. So I like what they're doing, and I think it actually matches up well, at least their offense versus the Eagles defense, that I think they're going to put up numbers today. So, so Cowboys, +3, I like it. I think it's really going to depend on the ground game of the Eagles. If they can get that going and then they force you into a little bit more man, then I think AJ and Devonta could just eat them up basically in that kind of defensive coverage. So we'll see. But I like Cowboys +3. Over 46.5 is something I did play. 2 props, Dak Prescott over 246.5 passing yards on Bet Rivers for all the reasons you already mentioned. So Dak over 246.5 at Bet Rivers, which is actually pretty good. A lot of other books have him about 3 or 4 or 5 yards higher. So a little bit of a discount there. I do like CD at his regular line. I didn't think about the pumped up props, which I kind of like. So I have CD over 75.5. And I also did have Devontae Smith over 49.5. So a lot of regular line plays. This one, you could see a lot of bets I have. So this game, Devonta Smith over 49.5, CD over 75.5, Dak over 246.5, the over 46.5, and Cowboys +3. Lots of money on this game, guys.
There you go. I like the Dak one. I was debating between him and CeeDee Lamb. It's just so many yards for the quarterback that always makes me nervous. Like 350 yards for +800. Dak kills the Eagles. He has such a good record against the Eagles, but I'm not touching it. All right. Last game, Sunday Night Football. Finally, at least we have an awesome primetime game. Bills Bengals. What do you got in this one?
Oh man. Not super strong. I would have liked it if I caught it earlier. But I'm gonna go Bengals -2.5. And
I agree.
It's -2 at Bet365. I don't have that, but if on FanDuel I'm taking -2.5 because I don't have anywhere that has it at -2 still. So But yeah, at least it's still under a key number, under a field goal. My concerns is, at first I thought the offense would be enough to overcome the concerns on defense, but it looks like those defensive concerns are just legit at this point with all those key, for the Bills.
The Bills. Right.
For the Bills. Yeah. And God, I didn't expect it, but you were right. You mentioned it earlier. Like this has been at least the last couple of years, the MO and the classic Bengals slow starts. And then somehow they start clicking right at the, mid-season mark to make that late push. And everyone's like, they're a true contender. And I mean, they're playing it out again. And if you have a healthy Burrow and that offense is starting to click, and you have these defensive woes on the Bills side, those are all the reasons why I'm just like, I don't know. I think the Bengals will be able to move the ball. And even though I don't want to really touch it, this might be one of the rare occasions where maybe a primetime game could go a little bit over, but it's still a little too high for my liking. And the under has been cashing at such a high rate in these primetimes. So I'm going to stay away from that, but I am going to go Bengals spread, Bengals -2.5.
There you go. That makes sense. I'm with you on the Bengals. I like them as well. I got their money line earlier in the week at a pretty good price.
Nice.
You can take it on Sport Trade at -130. At that point, I would just take the -2.5. Sport Trade has it at -102. So I totally agree with you on the Bengals. I have another pumped up prop. I saved 3 for the last 2 games.
Ooh, okay.
Dalton Kincaid, 75 plus receiving yards, plus 450 at Caesars. I went with Kincaid last week. He cashed for us for Thursday Night Football. I'm riding with him once again. There's a tangible difference, and I don't think the books have caught up yet. I like laddering him up to 75 plus as well. Since Dawson Knox went down 2 weeks ago, Dalton Kincaid's been awesome. 2 weeks ago, he had exactly 75 receiving yards. Okay. Last week, he had 65 yards and a touchdown. That was also against the Bucs. If you remember, they were winning that entire game, so they really didn't have to throw. This week, they're probably going to need to pass more to catch up to the Bengals. Ton of pass attempts for Josh Allen. Last week, Kincaid played 57 of 68 snaps. He's probably going to play the majority of snaps again. Last week, the past 2 weeks, he had 8 targets 2 weeks ago. Then he had 7 targets last week. It's going to happen again. The Bengals defense is good overall, and this is the last point I'll make, but they struggle against tight ends. DVOA, 4th worst team in the NFL against tight ends. And then specifically for fantasy, they are the worst defense against tight ends, schedule adjusted. And then actually, I lied. This is my last point. Kincaid has the highest catch percentage of all tight ends with at least 20 targets, 80% catch percentage. So if they just need to move the ball down the field, he's been very reliable. Very long-winded way of saying I love Kincaid, 75 plus receiving yards. And again, ladder him up from his main line's like 39.5.
Nice.
It's simply too low. Ladder him up to 75 plus. I think that that will be fruitful for us.
That is too low. So
it's simply too low.
Yeah, I'm going to play the main line for sure then, because I like it. You convinced me. That's why I like this show. I get convinced even mid-show. So.
Yeah. All right, that's last game. Now it's time for degeneracy. And I was trying to think. We didn't have a ton of overlap in terms of player props that we liked, except for Devontae Smith. So
yeah, Devontae Smith. Yep.
Yeah, and I also liked the Dak one. So if we want to have 2 in the Eagles game, we could do Devontae Smith, 60 plus receiving yards, just get it up to plus money.
Sure.
And then for passing yards, it was we could do Dak 275 plus, also for plus money.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, might as well.
So that's 2. In terms of other ones, did you have any? I mean, I guess we do have Kincaid for tonight if we want to add him. But I mean, those are both in mind. Do you have any?
I like the Kincaid angle because you're right. I have a sense that the Bills are going to play from behind. So even if we were to go whatever, even a slight alt line above his over 39.5, like maybe, I don't know what like 50 is sitting at right now because I'm not on
50
the app.
is at plus 142.
It's not bad.
So those 3 together is plus 975.
Oh, just for those 3?
Just for those 3.
That's not absurd at all. That's not absurd at all. I mean,
so you say we just leave it there?
I say, why don't we do that?
Okay. All right. So that's locked in. Just to confirm, Devonta Smith, 60 plus receiving yards, Dak 275 plus passing yards, and Kincaid 50 plus receiving yards.
All right.
So that's degeneracy play number 1.
Okay, and since people just love touchdowns, it's hard. This week is hard.
It's a bad week for touchdowns. Yeah.
Ooh, but let's see if we can dig up something here.
All right. So you liked Saquon.
I did like Saquon. I think I like Kareem Hunt better than Saquon. There.
Okay.
Kareem Hunt was his at plus 110. Okay. All right. And then one long shot touchdown that I didn't mention. It's not as long shot as your Tommy Tremble, but I actually like Ferguson for the Cowboys.
Okay.
Anytime touchdown. The Eagles defense, I mentioned, struggle against tight ends. Ferguson is their second leading receiver.
Okay.
Like just behind CeeDee Lamb. He's at 270. So it's pretty juicy. But I didn't have any other touchdown that I liked.
Yeah, let me see. I don't know if I can trust Bijan Robinson at all because he's just not consistent.
Can you trust Arthur Smith is the real question.
Yeah, no, exactly. I trust him as an athlete. I just don't trust the play calling. Bears Saints, it's like a gamble. It's like a roulette wheel of will they give it to stupid Tyson.
I was gonna say maybe it's a Taysom Hill one.
Taysom Hill versus just giving it to Kamara. I can't tell. Packers, I can't tell if they're going to score on each other. Commanders, Patriots, I don't know if they're going to score on each other. Ravens, Seahawks, there's got to be a few touchdowns in there.
Yeah, maybe Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews or just Lamar. I just can't.
Yeah, Lamar's a good one too. He's minus 105. Mark Andrews is plus 190. It's not a great week for touchdowns, that's for sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. Colts, Panthers.
Oh, they suspended this Cardinals-Browns game on FanDuel. I wonder if some news just came out. Maybe Deshaun Watson officially announced him in or something.
I mean, I like Jonathan Taylor for a touchdown, even though I stayed away because it was juice, though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what about Zach Moss?
Zach Moss, yeah. When's the last time he scored?
Let's find out. That I don't know. I just know that they split carries.
Yeah.
Let's look at his game log.
Anytime touchdown.
He scored last week. He scored last week.
Oh, he's got 1 0 1 2 0 1 1 1. What the other ones you can't really get. So 1 0 1 2. So that's not bad.
In his last, So he scored. Looks like what they've played. How many? Let's say they played 7 games, 8 games. Let's see. 1. This is good podcasting. 2, 3, 4, 5. They played 7 games. He scored in every game but 2. Granted, that was obviously Zach or
but even with Taylor back, he scored 3 out of the last 4 games with Taylor back. So
yeah, I'll leave this one up to you since I mostly took the other one. I'm just presenting the options.
Okay. Well, Kareem Hunt's blocked off right now. Forget that one. So let's say
they still have it. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, Ferguson plus 270. Let's go Lamar. Okay. Lamar, TD.
Ferguson. All right, let's find Lamar. So those two gets us at plus 622.
All right, and then looking.
Anybody in Bills Bengals like a Jamar Chase? He's at minus 115. That's not great. Or Josh Allen runs one in. That's plus 195.
Who's a nice plus money one on the Bengals? Let's do that.
Let's see. T. Higgins is plus 165.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Mixon is minus 165. Jesus.
Nah.
It's really if you want to get plus money on the Bengals, you have to do T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd. Nobody else really makes sense.
Higgins and Boyd. Boyd is tough. He's
hit or miss. I would probably say Higgins if we're going to choose between the two, or we do a Josh Allen runs one in. I like Jamar Chase. I just don't love the minus 115.
Well, Chase, yeah. I mean, what does that bring us to if we did Ferguson, Lamar, and Chase? Even if one's juiced, at least one's like if Lamar's close to even money. Yeah.
So Ferguson is like our long shot, and then we do 2 easier ones. That gets us to plus 1250.
That's not bad at all. Plus 1250, 4 figures. Let's just chalk it with Chase because we know he's going to be fed. So
Yeah, that's what I mean. I like him as like a 10 plus receptions. I didn't go with it, obviously, but
yeah.
I considered it.
Okay,
All right, let's
Ferguson,
do it.
Lambjack, and Chase.
All right, that's our. Actually, I used a 50% boost builder
Oh,
on FanDuel,
nice.
so I got that for plus 1438. If you don't have the
Ooh.
boost, it's 1250, which is still really good.
Still good. Okay.
Yeah. Wow, the Dolphins might come back here. They're about to score.
Really?
Yeah, they're
Let me
at.
take a look. I gave up on that game.
I've just been slow. Oh yeah, Raheem Mostert scored, so your Raheem Mostert would have been right.
There we go, Mostert.
Granted, I had a Tyreek Hill 10 plus receptions, which looked great in the first half. FanDuel was offering me money to cash out. Now they're basically offering me to break even.
Travis Kelce, 7 goddamn yards. Wow. Travis
2
Kelce.
for 7. I know.
I blame Taylor Swift for not traveling to Germany.
Yeah, go to Germany. I mean, she can get a private jet. It'd probably be very simple.
God.
All right.
All right.
For those of you listening, I will tweet out our 2 DGen plays. It's the pumped up stats one. It's the touchdowns one. We've actually been pretty lucky, like not lucky, successful with these. We got your field goal one, which was amazing. And then 2 weeks ago, we got our pumped up one to hit.
Yep.
And then week 1, we had like 3 out of 4 of our touchdowns hit. So we've been pretty good on these. So, I mean, hitting 2 DGen parlays and even 1 NFL season is pretty good.
Yeah, we haven't been bad. We put some. We're just taking our love for certain lines and angles, and we're just sandwiching them together. I mean, obviously they don't always play out, but we put some thought into this. We're not just picking random darts. So,
and the thing I like about it is all the plays, I guess, except for the 2 of the touchdown ones, they're generally all for plus money. So if you just take them individually, our hit rate's been mostly about 50%, so it's been pretty good. So cool. All right. Well, I'll tweet it out. So if people want to tail, I'll put it on Picket as well. So you can literally just click the button. But yeah, anything else that you want to get off your chest for tonight? Any like plus 20,000 FanDuel specials you got for us?
No. I was looking, like I said, I'm not going to force it. When I've said it before, I actually, as dumb as I sound, I actually seriously like those before. So today, the limit is those 4-figure ones I gave you with the Rashid Shaheed plus 1,100. Even though we kind of found it impromptu, your Josh Jacobs race to 20 yards, that was plus
that's
1,300.
True. That's true. 1,300.
And my Tremble plus 850. So three of them that are close to almost 1,000. So instead of the mega plus 20 something thousand, I'm giving you a variety of 3 that are even close to plus 1,000. So all we need is one of them to hit and you're covered. So
yeah. All right. We got a comment. What software? I don't really understand the question. What software do you use for selections? I don't know if it's like the sports books, because we used FanDuel for both of these parlays.
Yeah, it's like sports books. I think Matt and I use tons of sports books. Me personally,
which is line shop.
I line shop, and I have like 7 books I use, and then I've been using Odds Jam still for line shopping and looking at odds and comparing, so it saved myself time. So so Odds Jam for line shopping and looking at the best lines possible, and then for just books, I use whatever I can in Illinois. So I use, PointsBet, DraftKings, FanDuel, Barstool. I use overseas books, betonline.ag, BetUS. I use a ton just to have a wide variety of lines available. So
sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. In terms of, I mostly use OddsJam for line shopping. I also use Unabated for stuff as well, because they kind of have different, what they think is EV. So I use a lot. I mean, I use OddsJam, Unabated. I use Props.cash. I use Betting Pro. Like, I have a ton of different avenues that I try to find stuff and just kind of see what sticks. But I would say primarily I still use OddsJam. I've never used LineMate before.
I'll check out LineMate. Thank you, Mindset. Yeah, I use OddsJam just because I've used it the longest and it's been reliable. And then I use Props.cash because I know it sounds weird, but I like the visuals of seeing green and red and the bar graphs.
Yeah, Props.cash is great. Yeah.
For trends, it's just the aesthetics and the UI, the user interface, so nice. And more softwares should copy and mimic like the aesthetically pleasing, easy to read version, like how they present it on Props.cash is awesome.
Yeah, and I like how you can customize it. So like if a player's out, okay, let's see how they do without this player. And yeah, I've never heard of Betalytics personally. I don't know if you have. Yeah. I can't
No,
give them.
I'll take a look. I'm always looking for any kind of edge, so I'll take a look
Yeah,
at
me
better
too.
looks and line mate. Thanks, mindset.
Yeah, I will say for home runs, which is where I was, have never had more success than betting on home runs. I used Ballpark Pal. They're phenomenal. Ballpark Pal is phenomenal.
Oh,
but
yeah, I've used that too. Yeah.
It's specific just to baseball. So talk to me in March when the season starts again, and hopefully I'll get a sponsorship with them. But yeah, cool. All right, that's it. I tweeted out our plays. As soon as we hop off, I will put them on Pickett as well. So you can literally just click the button. The Dolphins are making a comeback. It's 14-21 now. So maybe they can they can give me 4 more receptions for Tyreek Hill. I'll be a happy boy. But that is all we got. So appreciate everybody for joining, including yourself, Andrew. Appreciate Mindset for the comments. We'll be with you basically every Sunday except for some holidays and stuff. But yeah, let's win all our bets tonight.
Let's go, guys.
Yeah.